Okay, so you just read that passage from Jonah. A lot of people know the story of Jonah. Gavin, what do you think of when you think of the prophet Jonah?
Yeah, anytime I hear this story, I always think of the big fish that swallowed Jonah for like 3 days.
Yeah, a lot of people call this story Jonah and the whale. It might have been a whale. It was a big fish. We don't know exactly, but that's actually not even the point of the story, but it's just such a crazy part of the story. Everybody remembers that. But actually, the whole book of Jonah is really about something else. So I'm gonna ask this other question to you, Gavin.
Okay.
Has there ever been a time in your life where you didn't want to forgive someone?
Ooh, that's a tough question.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember when I was young like you guys and in school, I had kind of a secret that I wanted to share to friends that I thought I could trust. And this is, something that I just wanted to share. But then I found out the next day they went and told that secret to a bunch of different people. And obviously that upset me. That made me very, very, very hard and reluctant to want to forgive them. So I tried, but that was super difficult because they said something I didn't want them to tell others.
Yeah.
That was tough.
Yeah, so it's hard to forgive people when they break your trust and or things of that nature. But yeah, so Jonah, the book of Jonah is really about how God, he loves everybody, all people of the world. But in the story of Jonah, we see Jonah actually doesn't want God to forgive the people of Nineveh, the Assyrian Empire. And here's why, is because it was the Assyrian Empire. They're a wicked nation. They come in and they destroy Israel. They come in and they're just horrible to them. And now God is telling Jonah, hey, Jonah, I want you to go tell them to repent, to turn from their wicked ways so I can forgive them. And Jonah's like, no, I don't want them to be forgiven. They're terrible. And so he runs away. And that's why, the whole craziness with the storm and the big fish. So there's a passage in Jonah towards the end that I want, Gavin, if you won't mind reading that. It's in Jonah chapter 4. It's verse 2. This kind of sums up sort of the message of the book of Jonah and Jonah's problem really with forgiving people.
All right, here's what it says. He prayed to the Lord, "Isn't this what I said, Lord, when I was still at home? This is what I tried to forestall by fleeing to Tarshish. I knew that you are a gracious and compassionate God, slow to anger and abounding in love, a God who relents from sending calamity."
Yeah. So actually, as you read the story, like you see Jonah is actually, he does finally give God's message to Nineveh, and they actually do turn from their wicked ways for a short time, and God forgives them. And Jonah's just pouting about this. He's like, why did God forgive him? I knew you were gonna do this. And that's what you just read. It's just like, I knew you're merciful and loving and kind and compassionate, and I didn't want you to forgive them. And so he's pouting under this like plant. It's just like giving him some shade from the heat. And so he loves this plant because it's giving him some shade from the scorching sun. But then God actually makes the sun like destroy the plant. And Jonah's really angry about it. He's like, why, God, did you destroy my plant? And so God actually asked Jonah, he's like, why do you care more about a plant that you didn't even create? You care more about a plant than you do people. And so he was exposing the bitterness in Jonah's heart. And so when we read the book of Jonah, it's really calling to question, what do we feel in our hearts about people who don't follow God? Do we want God to forgive them too? Because I know when someone does something bad to me or hurts me, I kind of want them to be punished. And God is a God of justice. I mean, he eventually does bring judgment on the Assyrian Empire. They actually get destroyed. But he gave everybody a chance to ask for forgiveness, everybody. And Jonah didn't want him to. And so that's kind of what this book is about. And it reminds us like, hey, there are a lot of people out there, they don't know about Jesus. And when you see people doing bad things, is your first response like, oh man, they need to know Jesus and be forgiven and turn from their wicked ways? Or is your response like Jonah? Is it like, you know what? They should be punished. I'm glad they're in trouble. And so we really have to kind of check our hearts with all that. So Gavin, can you kind of summarize what I've been saying here with Jonah?
Yeah, I think I can. And it's cool that there's more to the story than just the big fish. But through this whole entire story, God truly wanted to give Nineveh a chance to repent and leave their sinful ways. But Jonah was like, no, they've done so many bad things. I don't want to forgive them, but I know you want to, but I don't think they deserve your forgiveness. So then Jonah tries to escape, but then God brings him back, and eventually, and then that weird plant story, that he cares more about a plant than the people.
Yeah.
But through that, God is saying, no, I love everybody, and I want you to share my message of this forgiveness to everybody. And through that, Nineveh was able to repent and choose God over their old ways of living, which is super cool. And even though Jonah was frustrated, he gave in and knew that God's love is bigger than our love, and that some people may not, we feel like, deserve our forgiveness, but we don't deserve God's forgiveness, but God still forgives us. So we should be quick in forgiving others. And that for God to use us to share his message of forgiveness to others, even if we don't feel like they deserve it.
Yeah, that's it, man. And so we have to remind ourselves, just like Jonah, hey, do we have a bad attitude against some people? Now, if somebody's doing something bad, let me clarify. If someone's doing something bad, tell someone in charge. Like, God is a God of justice. He wants to stop bad things from happening. But he also is a God of mercy. He wants to show his love to the whole world. And so we need to tell as many people as we can about Jesus. And most importantly, we need to live like Jesus and love and forgive others, just like Gavin said. So you're going to talk more about this in your groups right now, but enjoy talking about this. It's not just about a big fish. It's about, hey, do we want to show the love of God to everybody? Really? Everybody? So let's talk about that right now, and we'll see you next time.